Good evening, everybody. I'm a stranger to some of you. I'll read some poems here, which are some out of manuscript, some out of published works already, one or two written in the last month. How dare I? The first one is called Memory for a Fire Gem. Instructing his pen among music staves, he attempts to solidify sound far beyond him, and as apocalypticy, the result is less than what she sang, as summer gleamed upon a water sheen, above a garden doomed to charcoal under a clouded moon. Her majestic adagio inheres in him in a meagre room. Moments of beauty keep a strength more than a pen can scratchily devise. If years of practice will give him fluent ease, her aria still sings beyond his window to honour the tension of their union, for their summers incandescence cannot fade. And the next one is called Archaeologist, and I wrote it for an Irish poet called Seamus Heaney, well-known man, I think. His early work, I'll be straight up about it, influenced me in the main because he could pick hold of details in his location which didn't appear to have much substance or importance, yet in the context of a poem they became very pertinent. So I studied all that for a while because I didn't quite know how to handle a New Zealand environment. But I fancy that he's taught me to do it at least, not as well as him, but anyway, he influenced me.
Is it possible just to keep your folder down a bit? That's
oh,
right.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
Because we want a really good facial and sort of chest top area on the film.
I'll try.
Thank you, Gary.
Archaeologist for Seamus Heaney. Parental harshness seemed but a manner, a surface to mask what they failed to keep. They stifled him with their habits, till he caught the whiff of truth and the historian's eye for sifting bits. To touch the legacy of the dead, could he probe postures that hide the real? Digging under surfaces, striking through a littered yard, among chipped chimney bricks, he relished quiet grins. To lay out the past in its shatterings, sluice clean a meticulous beauty, or expose a forgotten assiduousness, he would drip sweat and stoop among pans, brushes and sterile plastic to ease out a loss which may yet equip us. Don't believe it. July, this is a shift of location, somewhere in the north-west area of Otago. It's a love poem. July. Mobile mists daub the plateau's tussock, and the month stains the land with darks. He drives north to mix work grain with frost, hardened hands that leave her to mulched soils. And she can sing arias from childhood, for now their bickering has stopped. Beside chip pottery, flowers soon will free a fire of colours from her garden's rim. Venison comes as quiet thoughts and calm. Such are her rights and attainments. He'll return from quarry gangs, cash loaded, hobnail booted, yet more quietly spoken. And that is their annual agreement. Come mistake or disorder, they greet them as in their first ever embrace, and their partings strengthen their union. Thank you, but it wouldn't do in a philosophy class.
I think I would do very well.
Well, this one here now, I was prompted to write this by a well-known New Zealand woman poet, Jessie Mackay, who first put her first collection of poems out in 1889. But around about 1926, I think it was, she published many poems, and one of them was called Poet and Farmer. And in this particular poem, she deliberately sets off one type of English spoken in New Zealand, or thought in New Zealand, against the more practical and inhibited speech necessary in the utilitarian running of a farm. The trouble with that dichotomy between different acquisitions of sense and speech is that the limited form of New Zealand speech also carries with it limits of understanding. Sorry to say that, I'm a New Zealander too. Okay, so on station it's called. Small galaxies of dews cover roses, buds and leaves. It's a delicacy that's smeared by his car's air-ramming whoosh. T-shirted, gum-booted, he drives one-handed, a mouth organ squeaking in his lips, and a fistful of dollars to back the next winner. Sounds just like him, his wife would agree. Whether to prize a sheep's mouth wide, trench dig for strainer posts, or throwing his hat to ground because a dog missed an order, no style of land or shock of weather would force him to let things slide. Yeah? You should see the kitchen after he's used it. His wife would say. Yet by fiddled accounts, snapped off axles, by wind-tossed roof irons, by stock loss, by gambling, by grog, every year, increasingly, it's the land that's shaking him. He pauses less to abuse his farm hand, more to listen to breezes, tinkling harpsichord music among leaves and trees. His wife reckons his wits have got thinner. Years ago I got it stuck into my head that there wasn't enough diversity of mood in poetry at that time, a lot of it in New Zealand. Now I thought, okay, I mean, that idea might have some merit, but it's a bit insulting to some of our writers. But all right. That idea became a bit of a fetish because it's still stuck up here. So these poems I'm reading here tonight are varied in their mood. And this one here is rather more extreme than what I've given you so far. It comes from a real anecdote when I was in the Navy, that one over there. And years ago, I don't name names because, well, not only is it, well, it's not even pertinent to the poem to do that, but at the moment, but really what was going on is that there is recalcitrant conduct on the behalf of a naval officer. As you will hear, it doesn't concern visiting a geisha house in Tokyo. All right, Commander, it's called.
Now, just check that there's no naval lawyers here, Gary.
What are the libel laws these days?
Hopeless.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
I'll see if I could be attacked for naming this one out. Commander. Ratings cowed by scowled orders. Skipper, wide-legged, sea-booted, impervious. Rammed ship's bows into a black storm. Propellers racing, a cracked keel, the risk. Did course change occur? Not him. His crew paid out submission as if to some old Roman. As soon alter orders as melt a breastplate down for scrap. Naval rum beat head veins blue, sentiment's pulse sustained him on the lee where wind dropped. That risk to crew still blanched his face, and his eye socket nerve twitch. Yet the Bronze Empire, in him still, barked orders down voice pipes, under the sky's sunset green, clouds smeared like blackening oil. Shifting away from that mood rather. And this one's out of manuscript, not published, some years old. I think you could say it's a love poem. I'll let you decide. It's called Her Winter Roses. The winds in the thorns overpower the rose, but I remember every petal's gleam in summer's climax before petals close, and growth cycles continue like a stream. The house and shore we lived near once, that room with your books piled high on the floor, these hold sadness at your absence, but not the bold labour that will flower yet another bloom. The labour is in the grey storm, bashing at our iron shed and smudging out the trail of lone sun rays over ice, as lashing of the thorns seems my anger's barb and flail. So, let ice melt. Let not fury begin. The rose strengthens her heritage and draws blood at carelessness. So I'll learn her laws, for your ring, bonding us, has not worn thin. Come summer's blue blaze, there is recompense in restraint, as the air moves quiet and warm, and you might return. So let my patience now outlast all the labour of the storm. I don't think any poet alive has ever tried to dodge the subject of death. I can't. It's simply called, it's a sonnet called Obituary. Breezes lifted vapours off the foothill snows. We stood at his deathbed, his eyes darting around each face in search of some reprieve. He looked pinned by a hawk that was waiting to tighten its claw and tear when it chose. Ice hardened its spears hanging from an eave, shutting him in with his triumphs and shames. Not a thing could he begin or repair, and we wondered what in death we would endure, and why creation must flaunt brilliant shows. Yet his final breath was that deep relief to have done with traditions that taught him fear. He died as ice gave up like misting fumes. Then in spring, the sun lit sparks on the streams. How are we off for time, people? Linda?
Fine.
How are we going for time?
Fine, having a great time.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Now this poem is called Marine, and it's written for a poet called Dennis Trussell. A good poet called Dennis Trussell. I must apologise to Dennis for the original version of this poem was entirely unsatisfactory. It appeared in the Gannett and Other Poems 1989. So, Dennis, I've rewritten it.
Okay, well, I'm interested to see.
Righto. Marine for Dennis Trussell. The dredge exhaust fires its smoke like a gun as geologists quit the bay. and sail to lift covers off the mass extinctions. Obstructionist orthodoxy will plot them as rivals, for certainties are left, worn out, in a library's silent shelves. The dredged leaves freed murk to dissolution. The jetty ropes hang limp as dead hair plaits. The starlit waves impose a heaving black and a pervading loneliness as bows bang and shudder under stiffened resolve. And so the lit mind's starry canopy and smouldering underworld sets new course towards truths never before suspected.
Wow.
I think I'm right in saying that at times there has been an ongoing bickering match among literary pundits and followers and appreciators of the printed word. How much prose do you admit into a poem, or how much poetry do you admit into prose? Right, well, that's been banging around for a while. Well, I thought, okay, well, why not try and write one that pretends to be a poem, but at the same time has got prose elements. It's called Esplanade. In a week of softening light, the boarding house keeper and owner could be heard upstairs. Wordy insistence and a clipped logic penetrated the silence. Then the owner passed my room, slightly amused, for he well understood her who had threatened a rent defaulter with a broom. The veranda she had replaced, plank by plank, then hung with baskets, dangling festoons of tendrils and flowers, pink, magenta, blue. Then a new name painted on a board, Parneo's Reef Hotel, permanents and casuals, and the sea shattered against the cape. So she was luck and gift to her owner, who preferred his world of yachting men to give his life a shape. A green parrot screeches like scraping metal as guests are greeted at her door. Chained to post and perch, it stands overdosed with her protection, for its noise seems to search for her as she retreats down her corridor. She raffles too for charities and clubs, sorts used clothes for the needy, and twice paid for students to finish out their year. She was that step from which others would climb. Steady and as sure as her trellis creeper, she cemented her place for 3 decades, at times entertaining a burly seaman. If none could learn enough reality in the beginning, lips were curled over her broad-backed man, and gossip enjoyed an acid tongue. came the morning when the sun flash off the sea stabbed her, and she began to cry. What I have done amounts to nothing. I'm always someone's doormat. Must life be boring to be correct? And the sea and the sea's noise garbled its soliloquy. 200 attended her funeral. The seaman, in a borrowed suit, had a tear glinting on his jowl. Yet in quiet words, he could declare to some, Daphne was never my paid whore. And the lights, kleptomania, stole more shade and illumined with its hoard. Travellers coming back asked after her. At the yacht club, sipping champagne, the mayor tripped over her presumed reputation, but would yet admit a citizen's clerk engraved with her name, after he paced floors and bit his lip and muttered for half an hour, considering it. Any time? Oh, a short unrhymed sonnet then for somebody else we know, Dean Buchanan, well-known Auckland artist. It's called September. Near a lagoon's grey cold, branches harden with icicle spikes, and frost clings to posts. Doors shut out frigid winds off the white plain. So I watched for that first sun ray to weld my glass bowl's rim with red indignation. Is it time to organise or commit? Should I wait for light's strengthening quota? Yet a dogged inertia lifts from thought, a freeing up. Notions blocked by doubt or buried sprout after a long reticence. Who is this goader who prompts renewal? Ice splits its grey plating, floats and nudges, and the inhibitions of a vast cold move down the river's long liberation.